All right, so me personally, I don't know if I would have chosen to have the word hilarious in my name if I wasn't funny.
You all like Mercedes. You could take my soul, just let me be first lady. But I won't sacrifice.
There is absolutely nothing hilarious about transphobia, but here we are. Jess Hilarious, or as I like to call her, Jess Delirious, apparently got mad. I'm not going to show the entire rant. I'm not doing that because I want to get into everything. If you want to see what the tea is, just go look up her name on one of these social media sites, Twitter, Google, whatever, and it will pop up. Jess Delirious got mad because apparently someone who is trans said that cis women do not own femininity. Apparently, if I'm getting this right, this person also said that cis women do not own periods, and that's the particular sentence that got her upset and got a lot of people really upset. And people started this entire conversation about transphobia, and as we should. Some people were just like, oh, you know, y'all are just mad because Jess Hilarious is telling the truth. And I'm just like, first of all, no, cis women do not own femininity. And it's just like, first of all, I'm going to get into this part of it later, because when you break it down, nobody owns femininity. What is it? It's a bunch of concepts that culture has tied together and labeled, and the criteria for it changes every year. But yeah, I'll get on that later. Nobody owns that. But the periods one got people, like I said, really pissed, right? When this trans person said that cis women do not own periods. And I don't understand why that's difficult for people to understand, because cis women do not own periods. Some people who identify as intersex people have periods too. Some trans men have periods too. In general, like people who are non-binary and do not identify as cis women have them as well. Some of them have them as well. So it's like, I don't understand why that was such a controversial statement for this person to have made. I don't get this uproar. Not everyone who has periods is a cis woman, and not every cis woman has a period. Like, I don't get it. That's literally a fact. Why does that fact make people like Jess Hilarious so mad? And if we put it together, I think it has something to do with this. During a sit down with Mona, the host of Don't Call Me White Girl, Jess Hilarious shared how a celebrity slid in her DMs, assuming that she was transgender and wanted to fly her out. Jess shares, "This guy's a celebrity. This nigga DM'd me and wanted to fly me out so I could fuck him, but not with a dildo. This nigga thought I was a man. He thought I was trans." Jess added that if he had offered her like 100,000, she would have been down to put on a strap. But she was just insulted that this person thought that she was trans. So it's just like, even within the definition of whatever she perceives as the definition, or whatever other people perceive as the definition of like cis black woman, she gets pissed. Clearly, you know, she gets pissed when she's perceived as not meeting those standards, right? Not measuring up to those standards, which is why, like, the whole point is this, that the standards are stupid because you are a cis woman, Jess. But the fact that because you don't look a certain way, or because your body is not this kind of way, because you don't measure up to the same kinds of standards that you slamming other people up against, you know what I mean? Your cis womanness is being called into question. That should not be the case. And it should not be the case just because you don't meet certain standards, and yet here we are. And so maybe in her mind, she's like, they're already thinking that I'm not a cis woman. And then here you have people over here talking about black women too. They want to be women too. Now what about my shit? What about it? It's just like, girl, that's why we are trying to make sure that the way that gender and all that shit is defined, or is talked about, is defined in this society, is restructured, because that's like, trans women are not a threat to you. It's these impossible, weird, traditional, unspoken standards that cis black men are kept to, are told that they have to uphold. And if they don't, they're not worth shit. So it's like, I think that all of this rage and anger and I'm so pissed at the community is directed in the wrong place. You see what I'm saying? I just don't like this shit, because especially trans black women, are under so much threat as it is already, and to constantly have this rhetoric thrown out here it's just dangerous. It's just dangerous. And not only is it dangerous for trans women, it's dangerous for everybody, but it's dangerous for everybody, including cis women. I want to tell you about this one story I saw about a 59-year-old cis Black woman named Michelle Dion Peacock, who was killed by a 67-year-old Tommy Wayne Earl in Richmond, Indiana. And this was, you know, partly due to transphobia. In the article, which is in my description, it says this: during interviews with investigators, Earl allegedly referred to Peacock, obviously the victim, the woman victim, as a, quote, male acting like a woman several times per Fox 59, and that he would do it again. An absolute mess. But yeah, I mean, as you can see here, not only does transphobia mess up the queer community, but it's messing y'all up too. It's fucking up cis women too. So in my head, it just makes more sense to listen, even if you don't understand what's going on. Oh, you know, these new words and terms, whatever. Yeah, to me, it makes more sense to listen to a community that's clearly at risk. I mean, they're constantly saying, hey, y'all need to listen to us. Hey, this is not, y'all keep spreading this misinformation around, and it's dangerous to us. And it's just like, it's also dangerous to the spreaders of the information, because y'all turning guns on each other over transphobia. None of this shit makes no sense. It don't make no sense. And that's what we keep trying to tell you, is that you are trying to hold all these people up to a rubric that you're not going to measure up to underneath white supremacy. Like, absolutely no Black person will ever fit these rigid heteropatriarchal gender standards, because we are not even perceived as human beings to the system of white supremacy in the first place. So it's just, I don't know. I think that everybody would benefit from a more liberated definition of gender, whatever that means or whatever that looks to you, because it's just like these rules, these rigid structures that half the time come from white supremacy is doing nobody any goddamn favors, you know. The other phrase that Jess got mad at, other people got mad at, was the fact that this person said that no cis woman owns, nobody owns femininity. And I'm just like, they don't. Nobody owns it, because just like masculinity, it's just a bunch of concepts that change literally every time you look around. They're not real. Did you know that in the 1920s, pink was seen as a masculine color? It's seen as like almost similar to red, the power of red, the fury of red, the color red, whatever. Blue was considered a color for girls until it switched. Did you also know, and I always reference this one, that heels were invented in Persia in the 10th century? They were originally designed for men. Wealthy men would wear them to give them additional height, and it also helped them with horseback riding, as the heels kind of fastened into the stirrups or whatever. So what's feminine today will be masculine tomorrow, and vice versa. All the shit is arbitrary, inconsequential. Femininity, masculinity, whatever. It's just a bunch of concepts, a bunch of characteristics that people picked and just grouped together and labeled, right? So no one owns it. It's like a program uploaded to the fucking Matrix. It's a dream, a lie that we all tell, like, that the society tells itself. Part of the reason why I love the queer community and the trans girlies and everybody, like, you know what I mean? The gay boys, everybody, like, it's because we taken gender, we taken our sexuality, whatever we taken, and we have decided that we have the power to define that for ourselves, you know? And the thing is that we define it for ourselves. We ain't pushing it on nobody. We ain't saying that you gotta define this way. You have to be this way. You have to be queer. You have to be trans. Y'all are the ones saying that you have to be cis. You have to be hetero. That's what I'm like. Anyway, part of the reason, like I said, why I love the community is because we are actively defining our sexuality, our gender, or lack thereof, for ourselves. We're defining it for ourselves. And I think that people like Jess Hilarious would benefit from being less of a shitty person, but also would benefit from challenging some of these rubrics, these structures that they were told that they had to participate in, they had to follow, they had to measure up to. And I think that some of that violence and some of that hatred against a community that ain't got shit to do with you would just evaporate. But yeah, that's all I gotta say on this. Please let me know what y'all think about this topic, because it was all over the internet. And it's just, I don't know, when messages are that loud and that transphobic, just queerphobic in general, racist, whatever, like, you gotta push back against that shit, because people are literally dying. And like I said, transphobia, queerphobia, all that shit really messes up the hetero community as well, and we see it every day. But yeah, thanks for watching. Love y'all so much, and make sure that you have a good goddamn evening.
Be a nigga who contain me. Screen, coming through, we making niggas switch teams. I'm feeling really pussy, got that shit in my jeans. I'm fly, and the guys that got their eyes on me.